What's going on, everybody? I'm Johnny Martinez, and you are plugged into the Social Plug Podcast, where we connect you to level up and where we discuss ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We are always powered by Social Plug Media. Today, we are in the beautiful downtown historic New Braunfels, and specifically in Collab Space Studios, our new headquarters. So we are the first and only Collab Space that has a podcast and content creation studio all built in, not only for our podcast, but for your podcast as well. It's also a plug and play. You show up, we can produce your podcast, we can produce your content, and you go on your way. So without my producer that I'm about to introduce, we couldn't make this happen. J-Rock, what's going on, my friend?
What is up, my brother, man? It's getting exciting around here, bro. A little new spot, a little fun out here, doing new things, man. But I'm doing great. What about you, bro? You been itching lately?
I've been itching, man. I haven't done a podcast in about 2.5 weeks. I'm over here. Hey, you got any more of those podcasts? J-Rock, when are we do a podcast?
Every single day, guys. I've been seeing him like just looking up and doing this here.
I'm itching, man. I feel like that dude from the Chappelle show. What's his name? Jerome Biggins.
Jerome Biggins.
Yeah, man. That crackhead just walking around looking for. So my dope and my crack is podcasting.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I love having guests on. I love collaborating and talking to our guests about their story and how to highlight them and promote them, man. So we're going to be doing a lot of that today.
Yeah.
So we do got a badass guest.
We do got a badass guest, man. I'm excited for this dude to come on and it's actually been hearing his voice and been seeing him on video for a couple months, but now I actually got to meet him and be right in front of him, and awesome dude, man. So glad that we got to meet him.
So before we put his face on camera officially, I'm going to kind of talk about how I met this guy. So I've been in the wedding industry for about 8 years.
How many times you been married, bro? Oh, you're saying when you worked over there?
No, in the wedding industry.
The industry.
So I own a photo booth company, right? Mm-hmm. And so he owned a photo booth company. He still does. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
So I met this guy within the past 5 years, and we collaborated doing photo booth stuff. And I told him, man, I'm going to do a podcast one day. And he said, man, I'm going to have a big-ass broadcasting company. And it's kind of played itself out, and it's kind of coming to fruition where we both have accomplished some things. We still both got a lot of ways to go, a lot of steps to step up to, but we're on our way, man. And he's an inspiration. He's always there. He's always reaching out, giving a helping hand. He's helped us.
Big help.
He's helped us, man, set
yeah.
up. Yeah. So you can't just set up a podcast without any direction or guidance. You need a mentor. You need a Mr. Miyagi, so to speak, to kind of set you at ease, teach you some of the software, teach you some of the steps and things like that. So without further ado, this man here, Chris Zaiontz, it's just like pronounced like science, but it's Zaiontz.
Zaiontz.
It's spelled a little weird, man.
I actually spelled it correctly.
Zaiontz.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so
I mean, I haven't met anybody else with that name, but this guy he's a guru when it comes to broadcasting, video production, software, and he's the owner and founder of Wizard Broadcasting.
Heck yeah,
so without further ado, this man right here, Chris Zaiontz.
Boom. What's up, Chris?
Oh, there I am.
There
Casper,
you are, brother.
The friendly ghost.
There he is, man. So although you see some Buffalo Trace in front of him, he's not blitzed yet.
Oh, okay.
Working on it.
He's on his way. So we were having lunch earlier. We were over at Bootleggers. We're about 100 steps away from Bootleggers. And they got some great wings.
Those wings were delicious.
Those wings were delicious, man.
Until I bit my lip.
So you got some shit on your lip right now, man. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a fever blister, a blood blister. You bit your lip. The wings were too hot.
I don't know what happened, man.
I don't know. But we were like, what the hell is that on your lip, man? And it's a big black vessel.
That's weird. It's weird.
I don't know if it's a vein hanging out or what.
The whiskey's going to help, I think.
Yeah. Whiskey cures a lot of things.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So welcome to on the show, man. Thanks for being a part of our team. I welcome you as a teammate. You've helped us out, and you're going to continue to help us out, and we collaborate, man. So here at Collab Space Studios, we connect, collab, and create, and you're definitely all three of those vessels, man. So we appreciate you.
It's been fun thus far. I mean, how far y'all have come already. I mean,
Heck yeah.
I remember talking to you in the parking lot of my grandfather's business, and you were like, "Let's do a podcast." And I was all, "Okay."
And how long ago was that? Was that pre-pandemic?
Yeah, that was pre-pandemic for sure.
I always had it on my mind. I'm one of those. I like talking to people and collaborating and having conversations. I was like, "Fuck, we need to put this on camera, put this on have it documented." And man, just imagine how many conversations I've had that haven't been documented.
True.
And those are some of the best ones we've had.
It's always just fun to be in front of cameras. And
Absolutely, man.
be chilling and talking about whatever anyway.
So you're always on the other side of the camera.
Behind the video switcher, the cameras.
So you are what J-Rock's doing, and so people that don't really understand what podcasting is or what goes behind the scenes. So J-Rock he's controlling the whole thing. He's controlling the music that starts. He's controlling the mics, the headsets, the videography. He's controlling everything. So without a quality producer,
he's kind of like the wizard of broadcasting,
wizard broadcasting.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in, right? So, but you do the same thing on a higher scale. So you do things for sports. Yeah. You do videography for podcasts and other things. What kind of other things do you do, man?
Man, I've produced a lot of stuff. I mean, if you go back to the early days, I kind of started a company called CG Vision Productions. Mm-hmm. I started that with one of my best friends, Gary Wren. That didn't work out so well. I was doing all the legwork. I was going to the networking. He wanted to be a filmmaker. I said, let's do wedding video. And so that's what I did. We filmed some weddings and stuff of that nature. But the first thing that we did was a project called Music in the Schools. And we did over 100 hours of videography. There was a musician by the name of Lynette Brim, who was a recording artist, eventually ended up in Nashville and whatever. But she created this program for orchestra programs where they could be a part of her album. So she created this contest, and then they got a scholarship and all this stuff, man. So those were like some of the early days. I was literally editing like the stuff that needed to go out to projection at the Lila Cockrell Theater down in the basement, man. Like, that was wild. The sound engineer, I remember, was really interesting. Kind of ties in later. His name was Tony Pybus, and he was running and recording the sound, you know. Of course, all of my friends were involved. I had a cousin running camera. I had another friend that was the projectionist. But that was, talk about getting thrown in there. It was nuts. Funny thing about Gary and CG Vision Productions is like he was the filmmaker, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, you're in charge of picking cameras. So he bought SD cameras, not HD, and this, that, and the other. We're already fully into HD.
So the quality wasn't where it needed to be.
It worked. We did a few weddings, and we had some very happy clients. But I went through networking events and open houses, and that's when I met Tomas Giovanna from Infinity Weddings. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Well, they are a video and photo company.
Okay.
I would say they're one of the best in San Antonio. So for about 7.5 years, I worked underneath his umbrella. 2009, I just went ahead and started my own company, bought my first HD camera. I signed over the CG Vision Productions over to Gary, and you know that company still exists today. He's a published author. He does all this stuff, and he uses his company, which was I co-founded, to support all of his endeavors. You know, he's like I think he's doing documentaries, movies, working with some really cool people here in San Antonio, some up and coming filmmakers too. So I'm very proud that the legacy of the first business that we did in media still exists today. CZ Digital Media started in May of 2009, and I was just kind of filling in the gaps when I wasn't working for Tomas. Tomas had me working like, dude, I'd do 2-3 wedding videos a weekend. It was insane.
And how long were these videos?
Because
like, you had to edit and things like that.
Well,
right?
that was the cool thing. It was like I didn't have to edit any of it. I've come to the realization that I don't love to edit wedding video. So I mean, it is what it is. So I hire out to do the editing of weddings. Sometimes I'll touch on it, but I don't really do weddings anymore. We've moved beyond that.
A lot of corporate.
Yeah, so CZ Digital Media still works as a corporate videography and photo booth company. So that's your general videography or
Right.
whatever. But Wizard Broadcasting, when I started it, actually I started doing broadcasting way before I actually turned it into Wizard Broadcasting. So, but that is the bread and butter these days. And my plan is to kind of elevate CZ Digital Media and Wizard Broadcasting moving forward. But
So you own 2 digital media companies, 2 broadcasting companies.
yeah, I know it seems kind of silly, right? Or does it make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
So, one of the things that has occurred is that the people looking for videographer that don't know that they actually need somebody like me to do something awesome at their corporate event, they're going to reach out over there, and then I'm going to go, hey, actually, you need Wizard Broadcasting,
Right.
because we are more of an AV. So there's multiple ways to use a video switcher. Yeah, you can produce shows, which I've done all that. You can produce sports. You can do all kinds of things. But you can also do recordings. You can also just send an image to a video wall. You can send it to projection, and if you partner with the right AV rental companies, and which I'm friends with a lot of those guys,
Right.
we can pull off fairly large jobs, I just found that corporate is, I wouldn't say easier, but I don't mind the negotiation with corporate as much as it's a little more. It's very cookie cutter when it comes to weddings.
Right. You're dealing with brides and emotions and all
Right.
kinds of things. Corporate, let's just get the shit done. This is what I need.
Right.
Can you make this happen? Yes or no?
Can you make me look good?
Right. And it's you want to be able to, as a corporate guy, you want to be able to have somebody not sponsor you, promote you well.
Yeah.
And there's no leeway for error. So they depend on you. So let me ask you this, because you've been in this business for 15 years. What the hell inspired you, man? What got you started? When you going to say, man, I want to go do some videography?
Well, before we founded CG Vision Productions, I was off and on going back to college, studying. I'm like, so I went through some divorce and some struggle and whatnot, and I kind of left. I think I was in a really great direction studying network and administration, like studying IT, getting Cisco certifications and all of that. I've always been like a technology kind of guy. So, but I also didn't want to be like stuck in a closet somewhere, just like plugging in wires and stuff. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword on whether or not I wanted to do that. But I was pushing through it. I was trying to take care of my wife and my baby at the time, especially when I was the only person making money. I was working for Coca-Cola at the time when I was studying all this. Anyways, I went through a divorce, left that, went through a bunch of different jobs. I worked for Coca-Cola Enterprises for 4 years, got fired from that because of the divorce thing. Like, it can get a little crazy, these divorces and custody battles and stuff. And so it got crazy, and ended up getting fired from Coca-Cola, And I was like, what do I do now? So
Did that set you back a little bit? You were like, shit, I'm fired, now what? I'm going through divorce, just getting fired.
Let's just say those weren't my favorite parts of my life, But what I did was I made sure that my daughter had me around. And they tried to take my daughter and go to Colorado and different things of that nature. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, but it wasn't, I had to challenge, I had to have a backbone and stand up for what I knew was the right thing to do. And I'll never change that. My daughter is the reason for a lot of things I do, and she's successful and she's doing great right now. So, but yeah, that definitely dampened some parts and aspects of my life. Left Coca-Cola. They left me maybe, but I went to go work for a cousin of mine's husband who had an HVAC company. And I thought, oh, let me try this out for a summer. And boy, I was skinnier back then, not as thick, right? So guess where I was all the time? I was in that attic, bro.
They fit you in there.
Oh yeah, they were
can
like,
fit.
you can get all the way in that corner in that attic, and maybe I need to do that again so I can lose some weight. I don't know, but Yeah, so I'd come out, I'd like drenched like a swimming pool, and I'm like, man, I don't like this. But then he put me on a tractor, and I'm like tearing down cedar trees. I'm like, dude, I love this. Like, let me just be out in the country and tear down some cedar trees.
Sounds like you just like pressing buttons.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, pulling levers.
go.
And, yeah,
Just don't push the wrong ones, man, because you'll fuck everything up.
I left that and said, I'm going to work at County Line Barbecue. So I worked at County Line Barbecue as a waiter. I think all of my family has worked there. It's been wild.
Dude, you're all over the map where you work. Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
videography stuff.
They were dark, crazy times, okay?
To barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue. Yeah. Randy Goss was the owner at that time. He unfortunately had passed away in a flood, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Blanco Road and Cibolo Creek, man. He
Got washed away?
Dude, got washed away.
You hear about that shit, man. I don't know if he's one of those that try to cross the road when it's full. And
Well, they didn't have barricades, bro. They didn't have barricades up. It's dark. There's no lights out in the hill country like that.
So you just don't know.
And if you've ever been out that way, I forget what that restaurant is that's out by there, but it's been there forever. Anyways, it's windy road, man. Dark. You
can't tell.
Veered off into it. And it was crazy because at that time I lived with my folks out in Bulverde. I ended up living with my folks for about 8 years after the divorce. Anyways, I went down to Cibolo and I had to turn around because I was like, holy cow, this is a raging river.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing rumors about Randy Goss. But me and Randy, we used to sauce, and I did Expo when I first started there. He would work right next to me. I had a great relationship with Randy Goss. County Line Barbecue was great, except I was late all the time. So they would make me clean dumpsters and stuff, you know. But I was working doubles. I was doing all kinds. I made good money, you know.
Yeah.
Waiting tables is nothing. My daughter waits tables. She works at Longhorn Steakhouse. She's
that's my favorite
I mean,
spot.
she's probably pulling $4,000 a month. You know?
I love Longhorn Steakhouse,
I
man.
do
So
too,
let me
man.
tell you a little story. I've said it before in a previous podcast. So me and this fool went to Longhorn Steakhouse, right? And his whole life, he's been eating well-done steaks. He was taught that. I think a lot of us were taught, eat your steak well done.
Sorry, is that a Mexican thing?
I think it might be.
It might be. I think it
might
might
be.
be.
My wife is Mexican, and it was the same exact thing with her. You know?
Yeah.
So as I progressed, I started going into medium well, medium.
Yeah.
And so we know you don't put A1 sauce on a damn steak, right? Because it kills the flavor, and it's kind of an insult to the chef or the cook or whatever. So this guy says, let me get some A1 sauce. And I said, bro, you don't put A1 sauce on a steak.
I'll admit, my wife still uses A1 sometimes.
Well,
I use A1 on my broccoli. Broccoli and A1, man, that's
Broccoli?
yes.
Okay.
even if I'm home, I will use A1 now. But now that I'm not, if I go eat like Longhorn's my favorite spot, man. I go there at least once every 8 days, 10 days, something like
We
that.
might go there twice a week.
Yeah,
Honestly.
so there you go. It's
But
great.
you know what's funny is my wife will be like, "Let's get Longhorn," and she's like, "But I don't like the bread, so let's go to Texas Roadhouse and get a dozen of the rolls."
And so you bring them into Longhorn? You bring the rolls in there?
No, we order to go, bro.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
order
I
to
was
go
like,
all the time?
shit.
Yeah.
How
I
is
said,
it?
that's
I
bold,
never
man.
ordered to go from there. Is it not bad? I almost did it the other night because I came into town late.
Let me ask y'all: have y'all had the fried okra,
I have not.
dude?
From there?
Fried okra is great.
I didn't even know they had okra there.
But don't let them cheap you out, dude. Like, they only give you 5 pieces of okra. You need to go back in there and be like, "Hey, what is this? This ain't a full order."
This ain't a freaking kid's meal.
Yeah, because man, when I first started getting the fried okra, this is so weird that we're talking about fried okra.
Hey,
but
let's go.
anyways, it was a massive amount of fried okra. Fun fact: they don't have fried okra in Florida, where my daughter works. She hates it. She's like, "Why don't we have fried okra?" You know,
Wait, so she is in Florida,
she's in Orlando,
and they have a Longhorn Steakhouse over there?
dude. They're everywhere.
I thought they were only in Texas.
No, you're talking about Texas Roadhouse, but Texas
No,
Roadhouse
I'm
is
not
in other
talking about
states too.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
no, I've-
Longhorn Steakhouse.
Longhorn Steakhouse is everywhere.
It's everywhere, really?
Yeah,
It's a national thing.
Oh, okay. I had no
I've
idea.
had Texas Roadhouse in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Dude, I need to take this fool to more states, man.
Yeah.
Have y'all been to Hot Springs, Arkansas?
Yeah, you do need to.
I've been to Arkansas, never to Hot Springs.
Bro, you guys have got to. It's an 8-hour drive.
All right, what's there? What can you do there?
Okay, dude, where do I begin? The oldest horse racetrack in all of America is there.
Okay.
Okay. The first ever Major League Baseball spring training occurred there. The reason is because they have natural springs, and it's not like sulfur springs; it's the other kind of springs. And everybody believed that it healed ailments.
So it's like the fountain of youth, so to speak.
Kind of, yeah. You know what I
If
mean?
you take a shower in it, you get younger, right? Like Benjamin Button.
Or Al Capone, Bonnie and Clyde.
Dude, they have something like that used to be in San Antonio, down on the south side.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And famous people used to go, it was like a hotel. And you can probably look that up, J-Rock.
Yeah, pull that up on
What
screen.
was it called again?
So in San Antonio, look up the Sulphur
Yeah.
Springs in San Antonio. It's down on the south side. I've actually been there. It's like a
I thought
historic
it wasn't by
ruins.
Is it okay? Yeah, I've seen that.
But old school people, maybe Al Capone, and so, it was
Right.
back in the early 1900s. They would go, and it was a hotel, but it was also a bath, so people can go rejuvenate themselves and cure their ailments and
Well,
all
that's
this stuff.
what this was.
It was in San Antonio?
Yes.
Yeah. But this one's not sulfur, so it's like different. I forget what it is exactly. But my wife, the only spring water that she really likes is now from Hot Springs, Arkansas.
No shit.
Yeah, I forget what brand it is, but dude, they have underground tunnels where Al Capone would use the tunnels and pop up in these speakeasies and casinos and
Was this during Prohibition and all that?
yeah, I mean, dude, it was there before Vegas, obviously.
Because you needed a prescription to drink alcohol back in the day.
They had a corrupt mayor, so like all the outlaws were like free. You were welcome,
Yeah.
So all of these crazy people like Bonnie and Clyde and all them were like they were just chilling in Hot Springs.
Yeah.
It's got a really interesting history. They have a gangster museum in the downtown, but they literally have like several story high bath. They call it Bathhouse Row, which is downtown, and it's like multi-story like bathhouses, and they've done some really cool stuff down there. It's neat. But the reason I go is it's not because of any of that. I love the beds at Oaklawn Resort. So on top of the racetrack, they built a casino and a resort, and it's called Oaklawn. So awesome.
Why I've never heard of this shit.
Is this the Hot Springs?
Hot Springs in San
Hot
Antonio?
Springs?
Yes.
Isn't it called something else, Springs?
It's the name of the street.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well,
I got excited there.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
like,
Hot Wells. That's what it is.
Hot Wells. Yeah.
Hot Wells, man. Because that's the name of the street.
Yeah. Anyways, maybe we should do a podcast in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Bro, when I think of Arkansas, I don't think of gangsters or resorts. I think of freaking bunch of trees, wilderness,
It's beautiful.
and a bunch of
I'm not
backwoods
finding
shit.
No, it's beautiful.
So I think we
Yeah,
just said it.
might have
Hot Wells in
Hot
San
Wells.
Antonio.
Hot Wells. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I found the San Antonio Hot Springs, but it's in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like San Antonios all over the place.
Yeah, I'd seen that. I forget where I'd seen like a town or something. I mean, a town that had like a big main street that was also San Antonio, like kind of like here.
New
too.
Braunfels.
New Braunfels. I mean, other than here too, but I thought it was just like, us.
So yeah, man, very interesting shit.
Yeah.
And these are the rabbit holes that we can get into on these podcasts.
Absolutely.
So I would have never had you on. I would have never knew about this place in Arkansas.
Ask me how many times I've been to Hot Springs.
How many times?
I guess 4.
Is this so like your destination? Honey, do you want to go to Vegas this weekend or you want to go to Hot Springs? And then
Dude.
she says, let's go to Hot Springs.
It's 8-hour drive. That's it.
Is there an airport there?
You have to fly into
Little Rock?
Little Rock. Yeah. I thought about it, but it was like, well, 8 hours ain't that bad.
Nah, I mean, you go through Dallas or
Yeah.
Tyler or something.
Dallas,
Ah.
Texarkana, all that. And
Yeah.
Once you get out
that
of
a shitty drive?
Texas-
Because the shittiest drive of all time for me is going to El Paso.
Well, no, that's a shitty drive.
Holy shit. I hate
I
that
did a
drive.
job in El Paso. I actually did a town hall event for this major, what do you call it? Like where they're phone operators, like West Telemarketing.
Okay.
Telemarketing.
Yeah, telemarketing.
Dude, massive telemarketing company.
I can't stand those assholes, man.
I know.
They're always calling my phone, like every day, 15 calls a day.
Yesterday, he was on a call yesterday when we were at lunch.
Why
He's
do you
like-
take those calls?
You never know. It might be a sell. He's a realtor.
Could be a new client, man.
Yeah, you just never know.
So sometimes I play along with them, and sometimes I tell them to fuck off. It just. I think yesterday when J-Rock was there, I said, "Fuck you." That's why I don't answer these calls. Because you can hear.
That's exactly what he said.
There's like a 3-second pause of silence, and then you hear a switchboard, and then you hear people talking in the back.
Yeah.
He called him
And
out.
that's when I know. I said, "Come on, man."
He called him out. He's like, "This is a switchboard, right?"
Would you like to donate to the police department or to cancer research?
Are you
or
really donating
Have
to the
y'all met
police?
Mr. Risk yet or no?
No.
Who's Mr. Risk?
Spam Risk.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
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 But sometimes it doesn't say spam risk. So
Yeah, I know.
I deal with
I
clients
hate
all
that
over
shit.
all over the country and all over the world. So sometimes I think it's spam and I don't answer it, and I call back and I was looking to do some business with you.
Bro, I don't answer those damn calls. I have an app called Hiya. Have y'all heard of Hiya?
No, tell us about it.
Yeah, what's higher?
It's Hiya. It's like Hiya.
Hi. Yeah.
So I have that app. I think I pay for it. I don't know. I have to see, but yeah, you just copy that number, throw it in there, and it goes, telemarketer or domestic line. I don't mess with domestic lines.
So we have something called forewarn.
Okay.
If I ever get a client that sounds shady, I put in their phone number, and then it'll tell me how many what's their criminal history, what cars they've had, what addresses they've lived at before. Yes,
Yeah, it's kind of deep, bro. It's
It's-
crazy.
That sounds awesome. I
it's
want that.
it's legit.
He looked me up
So
the
now
other
I'm going to
day.
screen all my podcast guests.
Yeah, he looked me up the other day. He was like, "Oh man."
What did mine say?
I didn't look at yours because no matter what your history was, Chris, we're going to have you on.
Everybody's gonna be all freaked out now.
But
to
I
come on
actually
the
looked
show.
up J-Rock. It showed a whole bunch of shit, man.
Yeah, bro.
We're not going to say it on the show, but it wasn't bad enough for me to kick him off.
I'm just glad you looked me up.
right? just glad he didn't look me up. Hell yeah.
So yeah, man. So Arkansas, hot wells. I mean, we can deep dive into all that stuff,
Yeah.
man.
No, I actually took the first time I went to Hot Springs, I took a 12-day road trip.
Where else did you go?
So I went to Hot Springs. I was joking around. I think I got invited to go to Cancun or something of that nature. And I was like, no, that was a different time. No, I think I just was like, it's my friend's birthday in Michigan and we're going to go see him. And so the wife and I jump in the car. We're in a Volkswagen Beetle, Hot Springs, St. Louis, Hillsdale, Michigan.
I love St. Louis.
Really?
I used to live in that area.
We got lost in a graveyard.
No shit.
Yeah. On the worst
Wait, what
side
do you
of
mean?
town, dude.
Like driving in,
East St. Louis.
Bro.
or you were walking in the graveyard?
You're also the wrong color to be in East St. Louis
Dude.
too.
Ah,
I was really Casper the Friendly Ghost in that graveyard.
Yeah.
Dude, I trusted Google. And I ended up in a
Yeah.
graveyard.
Do you remember that movie National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo?
Yes.
When they're driving to East St. Louis, and he asks for directions, and the guy says, "Fuck your mama," and they said, "Thank you, appreciate you."
appreciate you.
And they get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
That's what East St. Louis is.
Well, I'm stuck in this. There's like one gravel road that goes in a circle around this graveyard. And, I mean, there's only room to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
The road I think I was supposed to go on was right next to the graveyard over here. So there's this embankment. Mind you, I'm in a Volkswagen Beetle. And then there's big old boulders. My wife's like, we're in a graveyard, we're in a graveyard.
We're gonna die.
And then I go up this embankment, and she's freaking out. We're gonna get stuck here, you know, like because we just experienced CVS down the street, so we were like, yeah, we don't belong here. we got to get out of here, and we end up in a graveyard. I'm going up embankments, so then I finally get on the street, and I'm cruising, and there's like a fence, and I'm like, I think we're supposed to go through this, and I popped into some neighborhood. I eventually got to the casino. We were staying at a casino. Actually, one of the best steaks I ever had was I think they called it River City Casino in St. Louis.
Okay, I know where that's at.
Yeah, that place was
That's
awesome.
on the outskirts of St.
Well,
Louis.
everything has to be on the river.
Right. So they got Harrah's, I believe, was the casino on the
Yeah.
river, and they had a boat casino.
Yep.
But further down the way, past the airport, and the river's right there, is a casino. It's right on the bank of the river.
I think that's River City.
So the St. Louis Rams used to have their training camp right by that area.
Dude, that casino is actually pretty dope. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it's like a big resort.
We like casinos. So from there, we went to Hillsdale, Michigan. We're supposed to be there like early in the day. My buddy's having like this. It's his 50th birthday. He lives in this small town, and he's having a firework display. And so we're supposed to get there early and meet all of his family and everything. Dude, we show up when the fireworks are going off. As soon as the firework display was over with, everybody left. So I missed the whole birthday party, and it was the whole purpose.
For that whole ride.
Yeah. And then we proceeded to stay at his house, and then my wife was like, "I'm ready to move on. Let's go to Chicago." So we took off to Chicago.
How'd you like that?
She couldn't deal with the daddy long legs at my buddy Scott's house. So, anyways, Chicago was cool. I stayed next to the House of Blues.
Okay.
I looked out my window. I forget what I was staying at. We were staying at Marriott's and Hyatt's. So we saw some cool stuff. Like went and saw the shiny bean thing and
Yep, the big bean, the fountain where Married with Children, you know, the very beginning of Married with Children, love and marriage.
yeah.
That big
Where's that?
fountain.
Was that by the bean?
It's kind of by the bean. It's on the main strip.
Did I miss that? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean,
What do you mean the bean? Is that a person?
so there's a big
Oh, it's a
silver bean.
Yeah.
That is like
used to
a
being
staple
What's it
in
actually
Chicago.
called though? It's not called the bean. It's
I don't know. We can look it up.
What is it again?
The bean in Chicago. What's the actual name of the bean in Chicago? So I love Chicago. I love the pier.
Chicago was cool.
The pier is cool, and you got all those museums
Yeah.
right there.
I didn't do any of that.
Man, so they got
Cloudgate.
Cloudgate. All right.
That's what it's called?
I would have never.
The Bean Cloudgate in Chicago is what it's showing.
Everybody
And-
just calls it the bean.
And we went to the big Sears Tower. I don't know what it's called now.
You actually like experienced Chicago.
Yeah, I did. I was there for 3 days.
I think we had a $500 steak dinner. I think her mixed drink at the
Wait, how much was it?
Dude, it was stupid expensive.
$500. I better be getting a back rub and massaging my feet and all kinds of
And
shit.
a happy
man.
ending. Jeez.
Happy ending, all that stuff.
Anywho,
How big was the steak? I'm curious.
it was good. I'm not gonna deny.
Was it better than Longhorn?
Was it big? Was it better than River City, like you said too?
It was like a number for a restaurant. It's a chain, but
Chicago has a lot of cool stuff.
What's the most expensive steak? What is the most you've ever spent on a steak?
oh, that's tough. I mean, there's my favorite spot in Vegas,
What is that?
Triple George's.
I saw a sign for that.
So
right?
if you're on Fremont,
Yeah.
all right, and you walk to where you can see the Gangster Museum, you just walk towards the Gangster Museum, and it's off to the left-hand side. Triple George's, 100%. Great. Actually, I don't know if I ever told y'all, but I got married by Elvis in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we rented
Yeah, bud.
the Neon Museum. My wife and I have been together 18 years.
Okay.
Yeah, where's that applause button, man?
Oh yeah, right.
Anyways,
That's a long time, bro.
well, we haven't been married. We've just been together 18 years. So
Still, putting up with you for 18 years is a fucking accomplishment. in itself.
supporting me,
Yeah.
supporting me. She has been my biggest support, except in the early days. She's like, "What? You're gonna get into video production?"
Loser.
Yeah, like, and then she's like,
Why do you
"Wow."
think I'm still single, Chris?
Well, she's like, anything you do, you make it happen, and I'm like, well, that's kind of the
That's
plan.
awesome,
you know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're trying to do that, but
Dude, so you started in 2009 doing this. That was at the height.
2007 probably.
Okay, so that's when
just graduated high
like
school.
social media was first starting. It was pretty much the end of MySpace, the birth of Facebook,
You're right, bro.
right? The birth of Facebook was 2007, 2008.
But they weren't live streaming it on Facebook.
No,
No.
but it was Farmville and all this kind of stuff.
So
Hey,
you-
so what? So your post would be like, "I'm going to sleep," or "I'm going to drive to my grandma's house." It was just basic stuff like that because nobody knew what the hell to post.
MySpace though was so cool back in the day. Hell yeah, I loved MySpace.
You had like a
What
top,
was your, what was
top
your
8
song?
friends.
Yeah, and then what was your song on your profile? You remember that shit?
Dude, I don't know, what would that have been?
back in 2007, you were probably looking at I've Got the Power. Remember that CNC Factory or some shit?
Dude,
Music Factory?
dude, that's more like early 90s.
Oh,
or
was
something.
that shit?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Is he still listening to
2007,
CNC?
But
bro.
you can
I'm-
still put that as your
Well, yeah, you could
As your music.
HTML code and make your stuff.
it was a
all
lot of
tricked
different
out.
stuff, man.
That's where me and my wife actually got reacquainted. And I say reacquainted because we went to 8th and 9th grade together.
No shit.
Yeah. So we got together in February of 2006
Okay.
on Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow.
So when
Who played the Super Bowl that year?
dude, come on. I don't know.
2006. I think that was the Packers and Patriots or something.
I had a hot girl at the Super Bowl party. You think I was watching Super Bowl? No. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been.
So yeah, I left after a while. Everybody in my family was like, when she walked in, they were like silent, like, "Oh my god, she's a knockout."
Yeah.
She was a cheerleader at Clark High School.
Did you ever get the what the hell she doing with you, bro?
Oh, I get that all the time.
Still to this day.
Yeah, sure. Well, maybe not so much.
But there's no danger of her going astray because you're a big deal.
She's just
You're a keeper. She's a keeper.
She's a good woman.
Hell yeah,
and she
dude.
wouldn't
So
do
where
that.
would you be without her right now, man? So 18 years of your life. So most of your adult life, right? A big bulk, about 70% of your adult life, you've been with this woman.
Yeah.
And how has she lifted you up? How has she made a difference in your life, man? Because having a great woman on your side is a game changer.
She's just been 100% supportive, loving, just an amazing person. She's not. She was made for me. You know what I mean?
Customized for you.
She really was. And my buddy the other day was like, I said, we were talking about women and his taste in women. And then I said, what about Jessica? And he goes, oh no, she's too high maintenance. But my wife loves beauty. She was all into makeup. We talked about doing makeup tutorial YouTube. Like she probably would have blown up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's camera shy, so we never really did that.
I got the same deal with my wife. She doesn't like coming on camera. She doesn't like to be
What
in the
is your
face.
wife's name? Is Jessica?
Jessica as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you have the same. What's your wife's birthday?
December 17th.
Okay, mine's in June 15th.
Okay.
But she doesn't like being on camera. She doesn't like being up front, the face of the franchise. But she does a hell of a job, an incredible job of the support side.
Right.
She crosses the T's, dots the I's, makes sure my ass is in line, makes sure my ass is set up for success,
Yep.
and that's where we flourish.
I think Jessica's really good on the on camera too. I think she just kind of, she does really well.
My wife is just like, make sure you get my good side, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now, she's not as into makeup anymore. She's into like facial cream and all that. It's a different day.
Yeah. New interests and new focus and things like that.
I don't know where I'd be without her though. Like I can't imagine life without her.
Yeah.
Like she's an amazing woman.
Likewise.
She's a registered nurse. She works with. I might get this wrong. I don't know. She's a blood I feel like she works with blood cancer, leukemic patients, but she's like a cancer nurse. I probably got that wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I always think I got it right.
Oncology? Is that the right?
Yeah, oncology,
So my daughter still has thyroid cancer.
like blood cancer.
So we deal with oncology and
Yeah.
cancer stuff and things like that. So
Yeah.
Thank her for her service. I thank her. I'm sure you thank her every day. And those that she deals with, thank her every day, man. So it's incredible. And just the stuff we talked about, man. I mean, you're an open book and you have a lot of different stories. You say that you know a lot of famous people that you've encountered with your broadcasting and in your endeavors going to these different places. You mentioned Doc Watson.
Watkins.
Watkins.
Watson is like a country band guy, dude. Doc Watkins is the proper way to say
Who's the guy from Back to the Future? Doc
Brown?
Brown. And there's Doc Holliday, too.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Doc Watkins, man.
Well, okay, let's go to the pandemic.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Whoa, what the hell is going on, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We didn't know if we were going to die or perish or...
Don't be sneezing. Don't be
I was
coughing.
just starting to flourish with my broadcasting
Yeah.
company, and now it's like, what do we do here? I actually produced a show with some of my brothers from Las Vegas that I made friends with at NAB, We organized comedy, musicians, like did all this stuff. We did one show and brought all these people together, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever. But Doc Watkins goes way back. So this guy used to be part of South Texas. Well, he started the South Texas Jazz Band, and it was like a bunch of guys. A lot of the guys are still show up where he is today, but he was doing weddings like us. So I'm out there doing I'm at Girard, whatever that place is called, the club, and there it was the first time I had eggs Benedict. It was kind of cool, but this dude is there with his band, and he's got his organ wheeled in. Like he's got this crazy cool organ. This guy later would be blowing up organs, but anyways, he stops me and he's like, "Hey, can you film me?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm working for Tomas Chavana and Infinity," and so I did it, and I told Tomas, "Hey, this guy really needs this footage."
How much is he paying for us?
I don't know what happened with that part, but I connected with Doc. It's one of the times where I was like, I want to connect with this guy.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I don't think with anybody. When I worked, when you work for another company, you don't take away from a company. But this was a little different. There was a vibe there. There was, I respected the guy's hustle, and I love music, so I was like, yeah. So we exchanged information. Well, fast forward, I end up doing. He's like, hey, we need some videos. We're doing this other thing. This maybe a year later. We're at Club Luna, and I'm filming all this stuff. Boom, loved it. Next thing I know, he's like, hey, I'm doing a big show at the Aztec Theater. I'm like, cool, got you. So I went and filmed that. And then that was it. I'd see him in passing, like, at some cool spots. I'd be like, hey. He's like, Zaiontz, what's up? So then pandemic comes, right? And I'm like, just sitting there, and like, your production sucks. Your production sucks. Watching all these people like trying to live stream, And I'm like, dude, this is killing me. So then I see Doc going live at Jazz Texas, and they're trying, it's like it cuts off, disappears, then they come back. He's like trying to go live with his iPhone or whatever.
That was happening a lot during the pandemic.
Yeah. And so we're friends. We're Facebook buddies, like all that stuff. All these years, I think that was the third or fourth year that he owned a jazz club in the basement of the Pearl, the coolest jazz club in San Antonio, Jazz Texas. So he's going live from that with his phone, and I sent him a message, I think, the day after, and I said, hey, Doc, I don't know if you know, but I do live streaming. And he said, when can you get down here?
I need help.
Because he was in a basement.
In a basement.
Filming.
Yeah.
So the Wi-Fi sucked.
They had internet, but it wasn't like configured. I mean,
Right.
just imagine he's down there by himself. Maybe his wife is with him,
Yeah.
He's trying to like, how do I keep this club alive?
Right.
This is a club that has chefs, entire wait staff, bartenders, and musicians that play almost every night of the week. And they're full house every night. It's a very prominent jazz club.
To where in COVID, he's probably zero in the building, trying to figure out how to pay his staff. Am I correct? And then, what was the situation?
I won't get into all of that.
And he never had to do
okay,
live
okay.
streaming before. He never had to depend on live streaming. Just like a lot of people that are in business today or back then, they never had to deal with that. Now they have to make a name for themselves, especially musicians, DJs. We saw a lot of that stuff going on.
Which was cool because I was involved in a lot of that stuff.
But then they made a name for themselves because they knew how to pivot and how to navigate.
You had to be innovative during COVID.
Yep.
And I was innovative. It's what led me to be able to leave the other part of my story is that I worked for my family in aerospace. My grandfather started this amazing company in 1966 that still exists there. My dad's the VP. I was my dad's like right-hand man, and I won't get into all that, but after the pandemic, I had stored enough money because of what I did in the pandemic that I had a whole year's salary just in the bank, ready to go chill. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try this.
Right.
So I'm approaching, it'll be 4 years in March that Wizard is, or that I left the family business.
But so with Doc,
Sorry to go.
you
Yeah, no,
you did a live stream,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
Well, so I go down there, we check it out. I have to beef up his internet, so we do that. Next thing I know, he's like, "All right, cool. I'm going to bring my bar manager, like the club manager, in, and like so he's hanging out a little bit." And then we get all that sorted, and then me and Doc, we're just down there by ourselves, and I'm setting up just the cameras that I have. Next thing I know, he's like, "Hey, we're gonna do some intro videos," and he's like, created this intro video. So I'm like, "Okay, we run it." Then he's like, "Dude, we need to add segments." So he decided to do the Jazz Texas News. The Jazz Texas News was hilarious and written by a professional comedian. Then he did another segment. I forget what it was. It was like, oh man, I'm going to mess this up. But it was like, you either like this celebrity or you like this rock. Which one is, and there was a whole like comedy thing with it. Anyway, so we had like somebody that created all the animations for these segments. And then we had a comedy writer. The comedy writer got picked up off of Fiverr. Fiverr, you never know who you're going to get on Fiverr, right?
Bunch of freelancers.
Yeah,
right?
it's a bunch of freelancers. We ended up getting some guy named Hugh Fink. Turned out he was the opener for Rodney Dangerfield
Whoa.
back in the day. Yeah. He was a writer for Saturday Night Live for 8 years during the Farley days, like David Spade and all this stuff.
Struck gold.
So yeah, but can you imagine telling these? He's a Jewish comic. He's got like a dry sense of humor, and it's it's that kind of comedy. Mm-hmm. So Doc starts introducing this comedy into those segments, and even in between songs and all this stuff. But we started to create this show with no audience. So he's all ha.
That's tough, man.
After he says a joke, he's like, eh. You know what I mean? So it's very pandemic. We did 45 episodes of that. Moving forward,
Wow.
we brought a whole band back. So we had a trio. We had an upright bass, a drummer, and Doc on piano and doing vocals. And then next thing you know, we're bringing in. Come on in. Yeah. Next thing you know, we're starting to bring staff back, this, that, and the other. Fast forward, we just became a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. We were doing 3 shows a week. We had about an average of 700 viewers every night.
Wow, that's awesome.
Those were his regular patrons.
Wow.
To this day, like people go, "Oh, you're Zaiontz." During the show, there was a little thing that he would do. It was like, I don't know if you might recognize it, but there's like a science guy with glasses, and he goes, "Science." It's like an old like black and white kind of thing.
I feel like I've seen that before.
Who's the science guy?
Bill Nye?
It's not
Bill Nye.
It's not Bill Nye.
Nye. Yeah,
it's older than that. But so we incorporated that in the show, and he goes, "And I'd like to thank my producer, Chris." And then I'd hit it, and it goes, "Science."
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he was great at like
That's
promoting
great.
me. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Awesome, dude. I love that dude so much.
That's awesome.
Those are some of the fondest memories that I have from the pandemic. But what he was able to do is he brought all the staff back, everybody that wanted to come back. Mm-hmm. So we had people in the kitchen. We had people, wait staff. There's nobody to wait on, but they took on, hey, we're going to package food, all the cocktails started getting packaged. They created their own delivery service. So they took dinner and cocktails, high-end stuff, to all the viewers that wanted to participate, or they could come by and pick it up. But they literally were delivering the food.
That's awesome. Would I take it y'all would promote this on that show as well, like the food and all that stuff?
Well, we kind of got smart, and we started. Well, the other aspect of this is we were drinking a lot while we were producing these shows.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all did, man, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun, but that bar was just going to waste, right? So we were just drinking it. But we were doing 3 shows. I would go set up, tear down, set up, tear down, set up, tear down, like 3 times a week. Finally, we got smart, and we were like, hey, let's just do all 3 shows on a Sunday and have a party. And then all the wait staff and stuff would come in on all the other days, and I would live stream from my house, and it would be on the screen and all of that, So
That's so cool.
that led to the San Antonio Zoo Ball and all the nonprofit organizations needing to virtualize galas, and I took care of all of that. So some of my stuff ended up on the news and magazines. all sorts of stuff. Everything that went in the magazine, though, there's no mention of Wizard Broadcasting. But I was like, that was me.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question, buddy. So what got me? I never knew that I wanted to be in this realm, but like growing up watching pro wrestling and seeing like their vignettes and their storylines and camera angles and all that cool stuff, it eventually got me interested in all this world, right? What was that first thought in your brain? Like, man, that's cool. I want to do that.
Well, it was video, right? Like I was telling y'all earlier that I was going to school and all this stuff. Well, I went back to school multiple times, but the last time I went back to school, I think I was a finance major this time. I don't know. Anyways, and I took Intro to Mass Communications, and I was forced to make these commercials and do this, that, and the other. Well, I was lucky enough to have a cousin who worked in hockey. So he was like an audiovisual guy in hockey, basically building up arenas and like managing the whole thing. Today he works for the Dallas Stars and he runs the whole thing. Like
That is awesome.
so that's pretty legit. So I kind of looked up to my cousin and he's always like, dude, what you're doing is so cool. And I'm impressed. And, you know, so that feels good. But what was I saying? I was going somewhere with that.
You're going with like,
Just all of that like led me into wanting to start that CG Vision Productions with Gary is because I was forced to do all this stuff and I realized that I loved it. One of the coolest things was that I toured like some of the studios, like proper studios that you would be like, wow, this is so dope, you know? Yeah, like back in the day, like Maverick Productions had like a super cool studio, kind of like off by like Brook Hollow. They had like stuff where you could drive a car in and film it. You know what I mean? Like
That's cool.
They had television, like a kitchen set.
It's like Hollywood studios.
It was a legit studio.
Yeah.
I remember I went in and the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm editing this," and he was all excited. It was like something for the army, and he took like some clip from some movie. I think it was like, what's the one with the helicopter that crashes?
Black Hawk Down?
Yeah, I was about to say
he had
Black Hawk
some
Down.
scene from that like mixed into some commercial he was doing. I was like, I don't know if that's right, but yeah. Anyways, they had IT, they had audio. Like you could have set up a full band in their audio area. Like
damn, that's
just
awesome.
everything
Yeah.
was super cool about it, and editing bays, the whole 9 yards. And after touring that and everything, I was like, dude, this is
legit.
You were
this is
inspired,
dope.
bro.
Yeah, this is what I want to do. So then my filmmaking friend bought us the wrong cameras and we started CG Vision Productions.
So did you eventually get new cameras and
Not with him. When I
No?
started CZ Digital Media, I did.
okay.
I only had one camera for the longest time. I was like, I can film your wedding, and I'd be like a one guy, and I used to do it all badass. Like,
Dang.
I
That takes a lot of work for people that don't understand that. You know, especially depending on like
imagine filming a wedding entirely by yourself.
that's what I'm
with a
saying. That
single
is
camera.
tough. Yeah,
That's
that is tough.
gangster, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Even today, that's probably why I have two phones because it helps me grab one piece and another piece depending on what I'm doing. But to do a whole wedding by yourself, man, that's fucking challenging.
Dude, we filmed a concert about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
With 3 people, and that was challenging.
Yeah, that was pretty
There's
challenging.
just so many angles and so many things going on. I can imagine how challenging it is with one camera.
What if I run 4 cameras by myself filming concerts?
Dude, that's next level shit, man.
Yeah, remote control is the shit.
Yeah, I know.
bro.
You were telling me about
Drones and
that,
all
bro.
kinds of
No, I'm just like with an iPad.
Yep.
Yeah.
A
Automated.
video switcher. One story. My buddy Wally Robles, he's in a band called the Peyotes, and he's like, "Dude, Chris, you got to film something for us." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be this price." And he's like, "Dude, that's too expensive." I'm like, "No, it's really not, bro. That's a really good price. It's the friend price." And he's like, "All right, it was less than $1,000."
Yeah.
Anyway, so I take all my gear. He finally agrees to it, and he's just like, "Oh." And then I set it all up. I film it, and I go, "Dang, I'm here with the switcher. I wonder if they got Wi-Fi." Oh, boom, they got Wi-Fi. Oh, it's pretty good Wi-Fi. You know what, let me just go live on Wizard Broadcasting's page. The very next day, that dude gets hired to go work and
that's
and do shows in the pavilion for the Spurs.
Hell yeah, man. Look at that.
You know what I mean? Like,
It wasn't that
about the
expensive now.
Oh no, he's like, "Bro, y'all need to hire this dude." You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. You know, that's one of the things that I find is challenging is people don't have the proper budget.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of find and work your way. So for me, it's like I'm all about audio visual. Like, let me get into corporate world, like conference, convention, that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, and doing that makes the most sense for me because, but it's hard to get in. You know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's a great payday. I love partnering with really great quality companies. I feel like I'm constantly learning something from these companies because you got all these keynote speakers and all
Right.
of that. So we can do everything from putting stuff and making them look cool on screen to just doing a basic capture and you know all that kind of stuff. So
In today's day and age, how important is videography with social media marketing, man? You put those two things together. How important is it today?
if you do it right, I think it's extremely important. Video is really so is photo, but video is very very important. And doing a crappy video, throwing it online, or not marketing it appropriately is not the way to go. You definitely, I think what you guys are doing, you know, I produce shows like this for people that are running for office, like Trish DeBerry, Mauro Garza, what's Chris, I forget his name, but he actually got elected to Congress. So
Using your videos?
well, I was working with a lady by the name of Rachel Trevino. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but she had it's called Extreme was her thing. So prior to the pandemic, we were doing all of these shows, like, and they're actually pretty dope. If you actually went and saw them, we had people that were making like I guess not marijuana, but they were doing CBD out of coffee somehow. I don't know, like out of yeah, it's crazy. But then there was like doctors on there, but so many cool people. Like some of those shows were actually really good. I would love to work with her again. It comes down to budget, though. You know, I kind of outgrew helping them sometimes because the budget wasn't there and it's a time restraint. And at those times, I was still working for the family business. You know, now my favorite stuff though is definitely the music, and that goes all the way back to 2012 through 14. Working at, I didn't work for County Line, but they hired me. They had these badass music series, and those were the Randy Goss days. So they had good people there.
Oh.
So I got to film like Cody Johnson, Whiskey Myers,
Oh yeah.
The Departed, which is like cross Canadian ragweed remnants. That's a New Braunfels thing.
Cody Canada.
Cody
Yep.
Canada, yeah.
He owns a School of Rock right here, right down the street.
That dude's a badass. But Whiskey Myers, that was a cool one. That's probably my favorite because I even filmed like Charlie Robinson, you know, may he rest in peace. Dude, Roger Krager, Stoney LaRue.
Definitely need to pick your brain then, because I know that's something that I've been interested in doing. Is more like these local artists, give them a brand, because they like you said, some of them don't have a big budget, but they should have a budget for certain things and ways, you know.
We need to see him on video. We need to see him out active on
I
social
would
media.
love to do something like Texas Music Scene.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah.
Those guys are doing great. Actually, some friends of mine were just on that show, like the artist, which was cool. Whiskey Myers, though, let me get back to that. Whiskey Myers. And then I'm going to tell you about the story of how I learned over-under cables, which
Oh yeah.
which I'm going to show you in a minute. Anyways, Tony Pybus, the guy that way back in the beginning of Music in the Schools, guess who was the sound engineer for all the music series? It was Tony Pybus. So we have to move this stuff inside, and I captured Whiskey Myers doing song swaps with like their opening act, which they were kind of on tour together, which was a very rare thing. So that video to me is like super precious because they got their acoustics out. These guys are like electric guitar guys, and so those are my favorite videos from County Line. I've done other stuff too, like I did worked with KRTU, the radio station, 97.1 or is it 91.7? I always get it mixed up. They entrusted me during the pandemic to. They were producing concerts, and I had to live stream them because nobody could go see it. But the Carver Theater and other things, they needed somebody to do that. And then like their year fundraiser at KRTU to get all their money, their fundraising drive, they couldn't do that what they normally do. So I produced that, and we had some really interesting like Emmy-nominated artists on the streams and stuff of that nature.
Hell yeah, man.
We had similar type of content on Doc Watkins as well. Like we had the mayor on there, the sheriff, we had Spurs players, all kinds of really great stuff.
So videography has changed your life. Broadcasting has definitely changed your life and enabled you to create new opportunities with these people who are very connected.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are out there aspiring to create a podcast, get on a podcast, create your own video content, things like that.
Come here to Social Plug Media.
Yeah, Collab Space Studios is where it's at, man.
Absolutely.
So
no, collaboration is key, man. I was a part of a lot of networking groups. I think that helped, but collaboration, like really making deep-seated friendships, really getting involved with people that are like-minded or people that you want to be like-minded,
right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You definitely got to surround. I actually,
people who inspire you as well.
It's so weird. I usually don't talk about God and all that stuff, but yesterday I was listening to, I forget what station it was. I was just goofing around. I was like, what's on AM radio? And I landed on something, and it was like, be a disciple and make people disciples. And he was elaborating it to kind of what we're speaking to right now. It's like, I often say, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I picked that up from somebody that I hung out with all the time. So if you hang out with all these people all the time, you're going to start picking up what they're doing. Just today, right, J-Rock? Like,
yes, sir.
I came in here and I showed you a few things, and I think you're gonna run with it, and you're gonna simplify that workflow, bro. So
yeah, and man, I want to tell you something, bro. Like when Johnny came to me about wanting to do our own podcast and stuff, bro. Like in the inside of me, in my head, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. But a little piece of it was like, shit, how do we do it?
Yeah.
And then I had my ways already of what I've learned. And when I had that conversation with Johnny goes, man, I know this guy named Chris, and I'm sure he can help you out. And I said, okay. So we give you a call, and I talk about OBS, and you're like, no, you got to try vMix and what you are trying to do. And, man, I'll tell you what, bro, what you taught me, the things that you taught me, and then sitting in this program, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this without you, bro. So I want to thank you for sure, man. For helping me out and getting me to open my mind with this software, and it's taking us where we're at, man, and we're definitely taking it to the next level. So that's a big piece of you too, man. So I appreciate that.
Well, I hope I'll be coming out here a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think we could definitely do some stuff together.
Yeah, we can have some more whiskey, some more wings, and exchange ideas. Like the connections, man. The people the people I know, and what I tell people, you put them all together, we create this mass of connectivity.
Well, you and I have always kind of like we've always been pretty aligned, and I've always thought you were good people. So
likewise.
Yeah.
And that's why I have you on here today, man. And I've continued to reach out to you for advice and instruction and guidance and things like that too. And I think more people need to reach out to those who have been there, done that, and have been successful. Yeah. And no matter what industry it is, it could be in any business or any life industry. People that have, and I say, take advice from people that have been proven winners and proven leaders in that industry.
I can always do better. I know that much.
Well, all of us can.
I got to work on, there's certain things, aspects of me moving forward that I'm struggling with. So, I think collaboration is key.
Yeah, that was, so my last question, Chris. Where do you want to go? Like, what else would you, whether it's in the next 5-10 years, like where would you want to go with video and streaming and all this stuff?
So I'm really interested in AV broadcast engineering. Okay. So I'm also very interested in the IT side of broadcast engineering. So there's so many different things that I'm kind of looking at right now. But if I could do whatever I wanted, it would be to build cloud-based TV networks. All right, so like Netflix and HBO apps and all that, but for us, I actually had started kind of trying to help a company that has a really great setup for all of that. It might be valuable, like as this continues. I have a great contact for us to maybe build a network. But anyways,
ooh, nice.
I'm very interested in that. So I'm looking at AWS and that cloud environment. And
Okay.
like, just connecting all those dots and transcoding and all that stuff.
That's
but at the
awesome.
same time, I have friends that are AV broadcast integrators. My buddy's doing. They built 6 new studios inside the state capitol. Wow. And I forget how much. It's like some stupid, ridiculous amount of fiber they're running and all that. But they got those kind of jobs, and I've been kind of wanting to get in with them a bit. And IT is kind of like if it overlaps with AV and everything else I want to do, but I still got certifications where it's like, hey, you know what? Let me just go get a full-time job in AV. I've got that. So it's not just me doing these events and everything that I currently do. It's a lot of different ideas,
Yeah.
But I got to focus on something. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I've been focused on let's just try to get more clients.
Yeah.
But I do got to push forward and get some education, certification. I'm not going to get a degree. I've already decided that. I don't need to. People have always told me, why would you get a degree?
Yeah, that was actually a question I forgot to ask earlier when we were talking about your early days was I hear a lot of people don't go to school for this much anymore. It's just hands-on and learning. I mean,
Well,
that'll
get you so far, but,
The experience is a difference maker.
it is. But at the same time, there's so much that you won't know on the technical side unless you actually go through some of the certification.
Okay.
Like Dante Audio, that's networked audio. There's certifications for NDI, which is going to be network transported video and audio, which simplifies things. I want to teach you some of that.
Okay.
SRT, all these different things. There's so much stuff out there to learn. And there's stuff that I could learn,
Heck yeah.
And then it expands into, do we really want to just keep putting stuff on Facebook? Let's just say y'all got to where it's like, hey, all these people are watching us all the time. You think that those people would be like, yeah, I'll join your network? Do you think somebody might pay a small subscription to watch? And now you have more money coming in, stuff of that nature.
Obviously, I would think that would be the plan. You know what I mean?
That'd be great
to do that too. So
I'm here for it.
Oh yeah,
My man, let's have a part 2.
Yeah, we
of
need
this
one.
coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming soon.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
All right, because you dropped a lot of nuggets, man. It's like you're like McDonald's, just dropping a bunch of nuggets.
I was all over the
All
place
right,
too.
with sauce
Yeah,
on them.
no, it's all good, man.
Over under.
No.
Over under.
Over under.
That's good information. So where can we find you on social media?
You pretty much look up Wizard Broadcasting and you'll find me. You can find me on my personal too, Chris Zaiontz. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I've got websites. I mean,
Twitch.
I don't mess with Twitch.
Okay.
I think you broke Johnny's heart there because we're trying to get into Twitch.
No, y'all should do Twitter or X.
Yeah.
Y'all should do LinkedIn.
Oh, we're on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
on LinkedIn right now?
Not this
Oh.
LinkedIn, but at least he's connected with
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
I'm connected on that.
I just got connected with LinkedIn this week because he wants to get into LinkedIn. So I was like, all right.
J Rock's
let's
on
look at
OnlyFans.
Okay.
But
Show my feet,
yeah, he shows his butt and his feet.
What is fansonly.com look like? Is that available or?
Ooh, that's a good one. We should look that up.
But Chris, hey, we appreciate you, my man. A lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and just a lot of connectivity that you have. Your brain is like just glowing with a orange aura
Yeah,
around
sometimes.
you, man.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you.
Bro.
Looking forward to having you on 2 or 3 or 5 more times.
Heck
man.
yeah. Thanks, man.
Every show. Let's
Hell
just
yeah,
do
let's do it. Every show.
Absolutely, man. So you can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. We're on Spotify. Where else are we, J Rock?
Well, I'll actually put this on there for us right
Yeah,
now.
you put that on us.
Boom. We are now available on CastBox, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube, and we will be on Apple Podcasts by next week as well. So we're uploading old episodes as well that we have done in the past. So if you missed any of our old episodes, when you go onto these streaming sites, you'll be able to watch our old episodes and catch up. So we're all over the place. So
Yep, and we're also in the headquarters today, Collab Space Studios, first and only podcasting and content creation studio in the area that can connect you to level up with your own podcast, your own content creation, and a hell of a lot more. So we're looking forward to connecting collabing with all of you, man. So with that said, you are unplugged from the Social Plug Podcast, where we connect you to level up, and we will talk to you soon. Appreciate you. This is episode 45.